It was one of those Saturdays that feels almost unreal, the kind where the light is golden, the air smells like cut grass, and you start to believe maybe life isn't so bad after all. I just changed out of my work clothes, grabbed a cold drink, and wandered out to the driveway to spend some quiet time with my old pickup, a 1970 Ford F-100 that I had rebuilt from the ground up. Midnight blue, polished so clean you could see the sky and its hood like a mirror. To anyone else, it was just a vintage truck, but to me, it was the last piece of my dad. He'd passed before we could finish it together, and every bolt I turned after that felt like a conversation with him I wasn't ready to stop having. I was lost in that thought, running a cloth over the chrome, when I noticed a kid hanging around the edge of the lawn. Couldn't have been more than 16, skinny, messy blonde hair, smirk on his face like the world owed him something. Next thing I know, he slides right into the driver's seat of my truck, gripping the wheel and making little engine noises like a 5-year-old. I'm thinking, okay, I'll walk over, tell him gently, this is private property, and send him on his way. But before I can take 2 steps, his mom storms up the lawn. And let me tell you, she had that kind of presence that fills a space, not in a good way, neon tracksuit, oversized sunglasses, and the tone of voice that tells you she's never heard the word no in her life. She doesn't say hello, doesn't ask what's going on. She points at me and spits out, that truck belongs to my son now. So take your hands off it and go back to wherever you came from. I froze. Not because I didn't understand, but because my brain needed a moment to catch up to the sheer audacity of it. Her kid is sitting in my truck, and somehow I'm the intruder? I take a slow breath, put the cloth down, and walk toward them. Calm, measured, because I've lived a whole career de-escalating tense situations. My voice stays quiet, almost soft. Ma'am, 2 things. First, your son needs to get out of my truck. Second, you both need to get off my property. She laughs, and it's the ugliest laugh you've ever heard. Your property? Honey, I'm the president of the HOA. That truck is a derelict, and by our rules, it's mine to impound. My son wants it for his birthday, so really, you should be thanking me. Now, I've seen plenty of boldness in my life, but watching her try to steal my father's truck in broad daylight, using a homeowners association as cover, was something else. My stomach knotted. That truck wasn't just a vehicle. It was scraped knuckles with my dad, late nights in the garage, lessons about patience, responsibility, how to be a good man. And this woman was trying to reduce it to some spoiled kid's toy. I remind her, as evenly as I can, the truck is registered, insured, and in pristine condition. Your interpretation of the rules is fraudulent. Walk away now. That's when the kid pipes up from the driver's seat, leaning out the window. You can't talk to my mom like that. She runs this whole neighborhood. We can do whatever we want. Finders keepers, loser. I'll lock eyes with her. If you don't leave, this ends badly for you. She smirks, pulls out her phone, and calls 911. But she doesn't just report trespassing. No, she puts on this shaky damsel in distress act, painting me as a dangerous, armed carjacker. I could hear the venom in her voice, dripping with just enough fear to make the dispatcher's heart race. 3 minutes later, sirens split the sky. 2 cruisers slam to a stop in front of my house. Officers jump out, hands hovering over their weapons. Carol waves her arms, screaming, "That's him, the carjacker! Be careful! He's dangerous." Her son even films me, grinning like Christmas came early. Now, I know exactly how bad this looks. A black man, accused of stealing his own truck, surrounded by cops primed for a fight. So I do the only thing I can. I raise my hand slowly, palms open, not a single sudden move. They cuff me, kneel me in my own yard, and I stay quiet because one wrong word could turn this into a tragedy. But then comes the twist. They check my wallet for ID, and out slips not just my license but my badge. Not just any badge. I'm the chief of police. Watching the color drain from that sergeant's face was like watching a man realize he's just handcuffed his own boss on his front lawn. The officers scramble, apologies pouring out, but I keep my cool. "Sergeant, you acted on false information. Now bring that woman and her son to me." When Carol struts over, still convinced she's winning, I finally lay it out. "Ma'am, I'm the chief of police, and you just filed a false, racially motivated police report against me. You tried to steal my property, lied to officers, and put my life in danger. Consider yourself under investigation for multiple felonies. Her smugness crumbles in an instant. The kid starts crying. And just like that, their little empire of arrogance cracks wide open. But the story didn't end there. A week later, a letter arrives from the HOA, signed by her lawyer, claiming I'm violating community rules by restoring vehicles on my property, by parking a derelict truck, even by causing disturbances when the police showed up. $10,000 in fines and a threat of foreclosure. It was war now, so I hire a lawyer who knows HOA law inside out. We dig into the books, demand records, and discover the truth. Carol and her husband have been running the HOA like a personal cash machine. Overpriced contracts, shell companies, money funneled into their pockets. They weren't just bullies, they were embezzlers. At a community meeting, I lay out the evidence. Neighbors who once backed her sit there stunned, betrayed, realizing she'd been bleeding them dry for years. In one night, the board votes her out. Her kingdom collapses. But like every cornered animal, she lashes out again. This time, through her son. He bullies my boy at school, screaming slurs, blaming him for their downfall. When the school suspends him, Carol files another false police report, this time against my 15-year-old son. That was her final mistake. She violated her bail, and the next morning, she was led away in cuffs for good. Her husband followed soon after, caught by the money trail that proved his fraud. And just when I thought it couldn't get stranger, detectives uncovered something welded under the floor of my truck. A steel lockbox with a star-shaped keyhole. Turns out, my beloved pickup had once been a getaway vehicle in a decades-old armored car heist. Inside that box, a key to Swiss bank accounts holding millions in unclaimed loot. Her obsession with my truck wasn't just about greed or racism. It was about chasing a fortune hidden for 50 years. Her husband cracked under pressure, confessed to being the inside man in that heist, and the whole conspiracy unraveled. Federal charges, prison time, everything. The neighborhood finally breathed free. But here's the part no one saw coming. Months later, cleaning out my dad's old toolbox, I find an envelope with my name on it. Inside, his handwriting and taped to the bottom, that very star-shaped key. He'd known about the lockbox the whole time, but chose not to open it, not to chase after cursed money. In his letter, he wrote, "The real treasure isn't in that box. It's the time we spent together building this truck. That's the only inheritance that matters." I sat there holding that key, realizing my father had already given me everything I needed. Integrity, patience, a sense of right and wrong. Carol and her family chased stolen wealth and ended in ruin. I inherited character, and it saved me. Now, you tell me, in a world where neighbors can turn into enemies, where greed can twist people beyond recognition, where justice sometimes takes the long way around, what do you think really matters? Is it property? Power? Or the legacy we leave behind? Drop your thoughts in the comments, share this with someone who needs to hear it, and let's talk about what justice really means when it shows up on your own front lawn.